Jun-ho had a rule about black women. He didn't date them, didn't hire them, didn't let them into his clubs unless they were with someone who mattered. It wasn't something he talked about at board meetings or family dinners. It was just there, quiet and solid, like the concrete foundation of the empire his father had built in Seoul's underworld. His mother had different ideas. "One date," she said that Tuesday morning, her voice cutting through the silence of his penthouse like a knife through silk. "That's all I'm asking." Jun-ho didn't look up from his laptop. Numbers scrolled across the screen. Clean money, hiding dirty origins. The family business required constant attention. "No. Her name is Zara. She's a doctor, American trained. She volunteers at the clinic in Itaewon on weekends." I said no. Hello, viewers. Welcome to AfroQuave TV. Before we continue, I will like to know where you are watching this video from. Kindly type it out in the comments section. We will be glad if you can support us by liking, sharing, and also subscribing to this channel. Thank you. His mother set down her teacup with enough force to make him look up. She was 72, but still sharp as broken glass. Her eyes held the same coldness that had helped his father survive 3 gang wars and a government crackdown. "Your father made me a promise before he died," she said quietly, "that you would marry before your 35th birthday. You have 6 months. Jun-ho's jaw tightened. "I'll find someone." "You've been saying that for 3 years. Meanwhile, the Kim family is circling. They think we're weak without heirs, without continuity." She stood, smoothing her expensive dress. "One blind date. If you hate her, I'll never mention it again. If you don't show up, I'm giving your cousin Sungmin control of the Gangnam operations." The threat landed like a fist to the stomach. Gangnam was his. The clubs, the protection rackets, the real estate deals that washed everything clean. Sungmin was an idiot who'd drive it into the ground within a year. This is manipulation. This is family. His mother picked up her purse. "Friday night, 8 p.m. The restaurant I'm texting you. Wear something nice." She left before he could argue further. Jun-ho sat alone in his penthouse, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that showed him all of Seoul spread out like a kingdom he'd inherited and improved. Somewhere down there, a woman named Zara was probably going about her day, completely unaware that she was about to become a footnote in his life. 1 date, 2 hours maximum. Then he'd go back to his rule, and his mother would go back to her garden, and everything would continue as it should. He told himself this several times before Friday arrived. The restaurant was exclusive, the kind of place where you needed connections just to get a reservation and money to keep the staff from remembering your face. Jun-ho arrived exactly on time, which was unusual for him. Being late established power. Being on time suggested equality. But his mother had chosen this battle carefully, and he respected strategy even when it was used against him. Zara was already seated. That was the first surprise. Most women showed up late to dates with him, having Googled his name and his net worth, and decided that making him wait was a power move. But she sat at the corner table his mother had reserved, reading something on her phone, completely at ease. The second surprise was that she was beautiful, not in the manufactured way of the women who usually pursued him, the actresses and models and daughters of rival families who saw him as a prize to be won. Zara had natural hair pulled back from her face, minimal makeup, and wore a simple black dress that probably cost 1/10 of what most women spent trying to impress him. She looked up when he approached. Her eyes were dark brown, almost black, and completely unimpressed. "Jun-ho?" she asked. "Yes, I'm Zara. Your mother didn't tell me much about you, except that you run the family business and you need to get married soon. She gestured to the chair across from her. Should we order first or get the awkward part out of the way? Jun-ho sat down, thrown off balance. What awkward part? The part where you tell me this won't work out because I'm not Korean, or not the right kind of Korean, or just not whatever it is you're looking for. She said it without bitterness, just stating facts. Your mother was very sweet when we met at the clinic, but I could tell this was a setup. So let's eat something expensive, make polite conversation, and then we can both tell her we tried. There was something almost insulting about how easily she dismissed him. Jun-ho was used to women trying too hard, or not trying at all, because they assumed he'd chase them. This was neither. You're a doctor? He asked. Pediatrician. I work at Seoul National University Hospital during the week. The free clinic on weekends. Why Korea? Why not Korea? She smiled slightly. I needed a change. Got offered a position here 2 years ago. The work is good. The people are... She paused. Mostly welcoming. There was weight in that pause. Jun-ho knew what she meant. Korea wasn't always kind to foreigners, especially black foreigners. He'd seen it in his own organization. The way some of his men talked when they thought he wasn't listening. The waiter arrived, and they ordered. Jun-ho chose for both of them out of habit, then caught himself. I'm sorry. Do you have dietary restrictions? No, but I can order for myself. I know. I wasn't thinking. Zara studied him with those dark eyes. Your mother said you were complicated. I'm starting to see what she meant. My mother talks too much. Your mother is lonely. She misses your father. She wants grandchildren before she dies. Zara leaned back in her chair. She also said you probably wouldn't like me. Something about you having very specific preferences. Jun-ho felt heat rise in his chest. Had his mother told this woman about his rule, about his prejudices? What else did she say? That you're smart, ruthless in business, but loyal to family, that you don't trust easily. Zara's expression softened slightly. And that you've been alone too long. The words hit harder than Jun-ho expected. He was alone. Had been for years, really, even before his father died. The business required it. Emotional distance kept you sharp, kept you from making mistakes that got people killed. Their food arrived. They ate in silence for a few minutes. Jun-ho found himself watching her, noticing small things. The way she held her chopsticks, not perfectly, but competently. The small scar on her left hand. The fact that she didn't fill the silence with nervous chatter. Why did you agree to this? He asked finally. The blind date. Your mother was persistent. And honestly, dating in Seoul as a black woman is... She paused again, choosing words carefully. Challenging. Most Korean men won't even consider it. The ones who do usually have fetishes or fantasies they want to play out. Your mother at least presented you as someone serious. I am serious. About business. But not about this. No. Zara nodded. At least you're honest. Jun-ho set down his chopsticks. He should end this now. Thank her for her time, pay the bill, report back to his mother that it didn't work out. Simple. Clean. But something kept him in his seat. What made you become a doctor? He asked. Zara looked surprised by the question. My brother. He had sickle cell anemia. Spent most of his childhood in hospitals. I watched the doctors try to help him, try to manage his pain. Her voice went quiet. He died when he was 14. I was 16. I decided then that I wanted to be the kind of doctor he deserved. Jun-ho felt something crack open in his chest. Not much, just a hairline fracture, but enough to let something in. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. Zara smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. What about you? Did you always want to run the family business? The question was innocent enough, but they both knew what family business meant. His mother had probably been vague about the details, but Zara wasn't stupid. You didn't operate the kinds of establishments Jun-Ho controlled without getting your hands dirty. I didn't have a choice, he said. My father built something. I inherited it. Refusing would have meant watching it fall apart or fall into the wrong hands. Do you like it? No one had ever asked him that. I'm good at it. That's not what I asked. Jun-Ho met her eyes. No, I don't like it, but it's mine, and I protect what's mine. They finished dinner. Jun-Ho paid, despite Zara's half-hearted protest. They walked out into the cool Seoul night, the city lights reflecting off the glass buildings that surrounded them. Thank you for dinner, Zara said. You can tell your mother we gave it a shot. Jun-Ho should have agreed, should have said good night, gotten into his car, and driven back to his penthouse and his numbers and his empire. Instead, he heard himself say, "Would you like to get coffee?" Zara tilted her head, studying him. Why? I don't know. She smiled then, a real smile that transformed her entire face. Okay, but somewhere normal, not another place where the staff knows your name. They found a small coffee shop 3 blocks away, the kind of place Jun-Ho never went to, cheap, crowded, filled with students and young couples. They sat in a corner booth with terrible coffee and talked about Seoul, about her work at the hospital, about the patients she saw at the free clinic, the immigrant families who couldn't afford regular health care. She talked about systemic issues without lecturing, about her frustration with a system that left people behind. Jun-Ho found himself talking too, about the pressure of running an organization his father had built, about his mother's loneliness, about the weight of being responsible for hundreds of people whose livelihoods depended on his decisions. He didn't mention the violence, the bribes, the people who disappeared when they became problems, but he thought she understood anyway. 3 hours passed, like 3 minutes. When they finally left the coffee shop, Jun-Ho walked Zara to the subway station. She didn't have a car. I took public transportation like a normal person. It was so far removed from his world that it felt like visiting another planet. I had a good time, she said, at the entrance to the station. That's surprising. For me too. Your mother will be thrilled. Jun-Ho smiled despite himself. She'll take credit for this. She should. I wasn't going to come tonight. Almost cancelled 3 times. Zara looked at him directly. But I'm glad I didn't. Can I see you again? The question came out before Jun-Ho could stop it. Zara's eyebrows rose. Are you sure? I'm still black, still not Korean, still everything your mother said you wouldn't like. I know. And you're still, she gestured vaguely. You, with everything that comes with that. I know. Zara was quiet for a moment. Then she pulled out her phone. Give me your number. But Jun-Ho, if we do this, I need you to be honest with me. About who you are. What you do. I work with vulnerable people. I can't be involved with someone who hurts them. Jun-Ho felt the crack in his chest widen slightly. She was asking him to choose between his rule and something he couldn't even name yet. Between the comfortable prejudice he'd carried for years and the uncomfortable truth that she'd already started to matter to him. He gave her his number. They texted that night. Nothing deep, just small things. A photo she sent of her cat, a complaint about hospital bureaucracy, his comment about a meeting that had gone badly. Jun-Ho lay in his penthouse bed, surrounded by expensive sheets and custom furniture, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Curious about where this might go, about who he might become if he let it. His phone buzzed. Another message from Zara. Your mother called me. She wants to know how it went. What should I tell her? Jun-ho smiled in the darkness. Tell her you're reconsidering your standards. Ha! She'll love that. Good night, Jun-ho. Good night, Zara. He fell asleep thinking about her smile, about the scar on her hand, about the way she'd looked at him like he was a person, not a position or a bank account or a stepping stone to something better. He fell asleep not knowing that in 6 months she'd save his life, and in 12 months he'd have to choose between saving hers or saving everything he'd built. They saw each other 3 times that first week. Coffee on Tuesday, lunch on Thursday, dinner on Saturday at a restaurant. Zara chose a tiny Ethiopian place in Itaewon that Jun-ho had never heard of. He ate injera and spicy wat with his hands and tried not to think about what his father would have said about this. His father had rules, who had built an empire on knowing exactly where everyone belonged and keeping them there. But his father was dead, and Jun-ho was starting to realize that some rules were made to be questioned. On their 4th date, Zara invited him to the free clinic. I want you to see what I do, she said. Not just hear about it. Jun-ho almost said no. The clinic was in a neighborhood his organization controlled through a protection racket. The small businesses paid monthly fees to ensure nothing bad happened to them. It was a polite fiction everyone understood. But he said yes, because saying no would mean admitting he was ashamed of what he did. And he wasn't ashamed, or he hadn't been before Zara. The clinic was smaller than he'd imagined. 3 exam rooms, a waiting area with mismatched chairs, and a pharmacy that looked like someone's as a closet. Zara introduced him as a friend, and the other volunteers, 2 nurses and another doctor, barely looked up from their work. The waiting room was full. Immigrant families, mostly. Southeast Asian workers who sent money home. African students who couldn't afford the international health insurance. Older Koreans who'd fallen through the cracks of the national healthcare system. Jun-ho recognized some faces. The Thai woman whose restaurant paid protection money to one of his lieutenants. The Nigerian man who ran a small export business and complained every month about the fees. They recognized him too. He saw it in their eyes, the flash of fear, the quick look away. Zara was with a patient, so Jun-ho sat in the corner and watched. He watched her examine a child with a fever, speaking gently in broken Korean mixed with English. Watched her explain prescription instructions to an elderly woman who couldn't read. Watched her stay late to see one more patient, then another, then another. By the time they finished, it was past midnight. You're exhausted, Jun-ho said, as they walked to his car. He'd insisted on driving her home this time. I'm fine. This is what I do. Every weekend? Every weekend I can. Zara leaned against his car, looking up at the Seoul night sky. You couldn't see many stars. Too much light pollution. But she looked anyway. Most of those people won't go to regular hospitals. They're afraid of being deported or reported or just treated like they don't matter. So we try to help. Jun-ho thought about the protection money, the fees that made it harder for small businesses to survive. The system he helped maintain pushed people into places like this clinic. What are you thinking? Zara asked. That I'm part of the problem. She didn't deny it. Yeah, you probably are. The honesty should have angered him. Instead, it felt like relief. No pretending. No excuses. Can I ask you something? Jun-ho said. Always. Why are you spending time with me? You know what I do, what my family does. It goes against everything you believe in. Zara was quiet for a long moment. Because I think you're more than what you do. I think you're someone who inherited a nightmare, and you're trying to survive it. And I think, she paused, I think maybe you want to be better. You just don't know how. Jun-ho felt something break open wider in his chest. The crack is spreading, letting in light and air and the terrifying possibility that she might be right. He drove her home. I walked her to her door, kissed her for the first time in the dim hallway of her apartment building. She tasted like coffee and something sweet he couldn't name. Her hands came up to his face, gentle but certain. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. That was nice, she said. Just nice? Very nice. But Jun-ho, her expression grew serious. If we're doing this, really doing this, you have to promise me something. What? No lies. Not about what you do. Not about who you are. I can handle the truth. I can't handle being deceived. Jun-ho thought about all the ways his life was built on deception. The legitimate businesses that hid the illegitimate ones. The politicians who took bribes and looked the other way. The families who benefited from his protection while pretending not to know what it cost. I promise. They kissed again. Longer this time. Deeper. Jun-ho felt himself falling into something he couldn't control, couldn't predict, couldn't protect himself from. It was terrifying. It was the best he'd felt in years. His mother noticed the change immediately. You're smiling more, she said, over tea the following week. Zara must be good for you. Don't gloat. I'm not gloating. I'm being proven correct. There's a difference. She poured more tea. When will you bring her to family dinner? Jun-ho's stomach tightened. It's too soon. It's been 3 weeks. That's practically engaged by your standards. The family won't accept her. The family will accept whoever I tell them to accept. His mother's voice went hard. I didn't survive your father's wars by being weak. If you want this woman, you bring her to dinner. You show everyone that she matters. Or they'll smell weakness and they'll use it against you. She was right. His cousin Sung-min was already circling, making comments about Jun-ho's focus being divided. The Kim family had reached out twice about a potential marriage alliance. The old guard in the organization talked about tradition and purity and all the coded language that meant they didn't want change. But Jun-ho was tired of playing by rules made by dead men. Fine. Next Sunday. His mother smiled. Good. I'll make sure everyone behaves. That was a lie, but Jun-ho appreciated the effort. He told Zara about the dinner on Thursday. They were at her apartment, eating takeout on her couch while her cat, a massive orange creature named Mango, sat between them judging Jun-ho's every move. Family dinner. Zara set down her noodles. With your whole family. Most of them. The ones who matter. Jun-ho, I've met your mother. She's lovely. But I'm not naive. I know what a family dinner means it's both. But if you pass, they'll leave you alone. And if I don't pass? Jun-ho didn't answer immediately. If she didn't pass, if the family decided she was a liability or an embarrassment or just unacceptable, things would get complicated. His mother could protect them to a point, but there were limits to her influence. Then we deal with it, he said finally. Zara looked at him for a long moment. You're asking me to walk into a room full of people who will hate me for reasons I can't control. People with power and connections and probably criminal records. And you want me to smile and make small talk and prove I'm good enough for you. Yes, that's a lot to ask. I know. Do you? Zara's voice rose, slightly. Jun-ho, I've spent my whole life proving I'm good enough, smart enough, professional enough, respectable enough. I'm tired, and I like you. I really do. But I'm not going to perform for your father. No, I'm fixing what my father broke. Jun-ho stood. You used Zara to try to control me. You weaponized sick people to prove a point. You put profit over humanity, and I'm done with it. For her? His uncle's voice dripped with contempt. You're throwing away an empire for some foreign woman. I'm choosing to be better than this. If you can't understand that, you never understood what leadership means. The meeting ended. Security escorted Song-min and the others out. Jun-ho watched them go, feeling lighter than he had in years. You know this won't be easy, his mother said quietly. Transitioning to legitimate business, making enemies of the families we used to partner with. I know. And the girl, Zara. She might not take you back. I know that too. His mother smiled. Your father would have hated this, but I think I'm proud of you. Jun-ho drove to Zara's apartment. It was 3 a.m. He knocked anyway. She opened the door in pajamas, eyes puffy from crying or sleeping, or both. Jun-ho? What? I dismantled the Gangnam operations, fired my cousin, started the process of going legitimate. It'll take years, and I'll probably make powerful enemies, and I have no idea if it'll even work. But I did it. Not for you. For me. Because you were right. I wanted to be better. I just didn't know how. Zara stared at him. You're serious. Completely. Jun-ho, you can't burn your whole life down for me. What if we don't work out? What if... Then I'll still be better than I was. I'll still have chosen to stop hurting people. That's not about you. That's about who I want to be. Tears ran down Zara's face. She pulled him inside, closed the door. They stood in her tiny hallway, holding each other, both of them shaking. This is going to be hard, she whispered. I know. Your family will hate you. The other families will come after you. You might lose everything. I know. And I can't promise I'll always be strong enough to stand beside you through all of it. I know that too. Zara pulled back to look at him. But you're doing it anyway. Yes. She kissed him, soft and salt-tasting from tears. You're an idiot. Probably. I love you. I love you too. They went to bed. Not to make love, just to hold each other. To feel like maybe, possibly, they'd survived something that should have destroyed them. In the morning, Jun-ho started the real work. Calling lawyers, meeting with accountants, beginning the long process of transforming criminal enterprise into legitimate business. Zara went to the clinic, returned the money to her patients with apologies and explanations, started rebuilding trust that had been damaged. Jun-ho's mother helped navigate the transition, protected them from the worst of the family backlash, made it clear that anyone who came after Jun-ho would answer to her. But there were consequences. The Kim family put out the word that Jun-ho was weak, unreliable. Several business partners pulled out. 2 of Jun-ho's former lieutenants ended up dead in what looked like accidents, but weren't. Jun-ho lost half his fortune in the first year, 3/4 by the second. But he also gained something. Peace, the ability to sleep without wondering who he'd hurt. The right to look at Zara without seeing his crimes reflected in her eyes. They got married in a small ceremony. Just his mother, Zara's sister, who flew in from America, and a handful of friends from the clinic. No family, no business associates, no one who represented the world Jun-ho had left behind. His mother cried, not from sadness, but from something that looked like relief. 5 years later, Jun-ho ran a consulting firm that helped small businesses navigate Korean regulations. It was boring work, paid a fraction of what he used to make. But it was clean. Zara still worked at the hospital, still volunteered at the clinic every weekend. Their apartment was small. They drove a normal car, had normal problems. Jun-ho's uncle died in prison, convicted of crimes Jun-ho had testified against. Sung-min fled to Thailand to avoid prosecution. The other families stopped calling after the first year. Sometimes Jun-ho missed the power, the weight of people needing him, the rush of controlling something vast and complex. But then he'd come home to Zara, making dinner in their small kitchen, humming along to music, and he'd remember what he'd traded for this. Everything. And it was worth it. One evening, Zara showed him a pregnancy test. Positive. Jun-ho held her while she cried happy tears, and he thought about his father, about the empire built on pain, about the grandson his father would never meet, who would grow up in a different world. A better world. Not perfect. Not easy, but better. "We're going to be okay," Zara whispered. "I know," Jun-ho said, and for the first time in his life, he believed it. 6 years later, the call came on a Tuesday. Jun-ho was in a meeting with a small restaurant owner, helping her understand tax codes, when his phone buzzed. He ignored it. These days, emergencies are things like missed filing deadlines, not bodies in alleys. But it buzzed again, and again. He excused himself and checked. 7 missed calls from his mother, 3 from Zara's hospital, and 1 text from a number he didn't recognize. "Your past is calling. Answer it." Jun-ho's blood went cold. He called his mother first. She answered on the first ring, her voice tight with fear. "Where's Zara?" "At the hospital." "Why? What's happening?" "Go home. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone except me." "Mother." "Now. Jun-ho." She hung up. Jun-ho ran. He made it to the hospital in 15 minutes. Traffic laws be damned. The receptionist tried to stop him, but he pushed past, heading for the pediatric ward where Zara worked. He found her in an exam room with a patient, a small girl, maybe 4 years old, crying while Zara examined a nasty cut on her arm. "Jun-ho." Zara looked up, startled. "What are you?" "We need to go. Now. I'm with a patient." "Zara, please." Something in his voice made her look closer. She saw the fear, the urgency. She turned to the nurse hovering nearby. "Can you finish? I need 5 minutes." They stepped into the hallway. Jun-ho kept his voice low. "Someone contacted my mother. Threatened her. I think it's connected to me. To the old business." Zara's face went pale. "The families. After all this time?" "I don't know. But we need to get you somewhere safe until I figure it out. Jun-ho, I can't just leave. I have patients, responsibilities, and I can't lose you." The words came out raw, desperate. They'd built a life on normalcy, on pretending the past was truly past. But some debts never got paid. Some enemies never forgot. Zara's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her hands started shaking. "What is it?" Jun-ho asked. She showed him a photo of their daughter, Ji-won, at her kindergarten, taken that morning, sent from an unknown number with a simple message. Beautiful child. It would be a shame if something happened to her. Jun-ho's vision went red. Where is she? At school. Jun-ho, what's happening? Someone's coming after us, using Ji-won to get to me. He was already dialing his security contact, the one person from his old life he'd kept close, just in case. I need to get her somewhere safe. I'm coming with you. Zara, she's my daughter too. Don't you dare try to protect me by pushing me away. They ran together. The kindergarten was chaotic. Not because anything had happened. Not yet. But because Junho had called ahead and told them to initiate lockdown procedures. Parents were arriving, confused and angry, demanding their children. Junho found Jiwon in her classroom, sitting with her teacher, clutching a stuffed rabbit. She had Zara's eyes and Junho's serious expression. When she saw them, she ran over. Appa, Yoma, why is everyone scared? Junho picked her up, held her tight. She smelled like crayons and apple juice, normal things, safe things. We're going on an adventure, Zara said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Just for a little while. They took Jiwon to Junho's mother's house. It was the safest place he knew. His mother had kept some of the old security measures when she'd moved out of the family compound. Guards who were loyal to her, not to the old organization. Walls that were meant to keep danger out. His mother opened the door, took one look at their faces, and understood. Inside, all of you. She ushered them into the sitting room while Jiwon played with toys in the next room, oblivious to the tension. Who is it? His mother asked. I don't know yet. But they know about Zara, about Jiwon. They're trying to scare us, or draw you out. His mother's face was hard. You embarrassed powerful people when you left, Junho. Made them look weak. Some men never forgive that. Junho's phone buzzed. Another unknown number. He answered, putting it on speaker. Hello, Junho. The voice was familiar. Male. Speaking Korean, with an accent Junho recognized, but couldn't place. It's been a long time. Who is this? Someone you wronged. Someone you destroyed when you decided to play hero. Then Junho remembered. Park Min-seo, one of his father's oldest associates, a man who'd made millions off the operations Junho had dismantled. Junho's testimony had sent him to prison for 8 years. He'd gotten out 3 months ago. Min-seo. Very good. I wasn't sure you'd remember me. After all, I was just one of many lives you ruined when you chose that woman over your family. Zara flinched. Junho reached for her hand. What do you want? What you took from me? My reputation, my business, my life. Min-seo's voice was calm, which made it worse. But I'm a reasonable man. I'll settle for watching you lose what you value most. Touch my family, and what? You'll call the police? Use connections you don't have anymore? Junho, you gave up your power. You're nobody now. Just a failed businessman with a foreign wife and a half-breed daughter. Junho felt Zara's hand tighten on his, saw his mother's face go white with rage. If you hurt them, Junho said quietly, I will find you, and I will kill you. Not as a crime boss, as a father. Do you understand? Min-seo laughed. There he is, the real Junho, the one who pretends to be civilized but still has blood on his hands. Tell me, does your wife know about the people you killed? Does your daughter know her father used to make people disappear? Junho hung up. The room was silent, except for Ji-won's laughter from the next room. The sound of innocence, oblivious to the darkness circling. He's going to come after us, Zara said. Isn't he? Yes. Then we run. We leave Korea. Start over somewhere else. He'll follow. Men like Min-seo don't stop. Junho looked at his mother. Can you keep them safe? Here? For a while. But Junho, if this man wants blood, eventually he'll find a way. Junho knew she was right. There was only one way to end this. He had to go back. Not to the violence, not to the crime, but to the people who still operated in that world. The ones who owed him favors. The ones who remembered when he'd been powerful enough to protect them or destroy them. He stood. Zara grabbed his arm. Don't. Whatever you're thinking, don't. I have to end this. Not by becoming what you were. Junho, we've built something good. Don't throw it away. I'm not throwing it away. I'm protecting it. He cupped her face in his hands. You and Jiwon are everything to me. I won't let him hurt you. Then let's go to the police. Together. Legally. The police can't stop him. He's too connected. Too smart. By the time they act, it'll be too late. Zara's eyes filled with tears. I didn't fall in love with a killer. Don't become one again. I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to make him understand that some people can't be touched, that some debts are too expensive to collect. He kissed her, kissed Ji-won, promised his mother he'd be careful. Then he left to visit ghosts. The first ghost was Lee Sang-woo, Junho's former head of security. He'd gone legitimate too, running a private security firm, but he still knew people, still had connections. They met in a quiet coffee shop in Gangnam. I heard Min Seo got out, Sang-woo said. Didn't think he'd be stupid enough to come after you. He thinks I'm weak now, vulnerable. Are you? Junho thought about Zara, about Jiwon, about the life he'd built on the ruins of his father's empire. Yes, but I'm also a father, and that makes me more dangerous than I ever was. Sang-woo smiled. What do you need? Information. Where he's staying. Who he's working with. What he's planning. And then? Then I'm going to have a conversation with him. Remind him why people used to be afraid of my family. Sang-woo made calls. By nightfall, Junho had addresses, names, schedules. Min Seo was staying in a small hotel in Itaewon, working with a crew of young criminals who didn't know Junho's reputation, planning something for the end of the week. Junho didn't wait. He went to the hotel that night, walked past the front desk like he owned the place, took the elevator to the 4th floor. Min Seo's room was at the end of the hall. Junho knocked. The door opened. Min Seo stood there, older than Junho remembered, thinner, with eyes that had gone dead in prison. I wondered if you'd come, Min Seo said. We need to talk. No weapons, no tricks, just two old friends having a conversation. Something like that. Min Seo let him in. The room was small, cheap, nothing like the luxury Min Seo used to enjoy when he was part of Junho's father's organization. A reminder of everything he'd lost. You look good, Min Seo said. Civilian life suits you. What do you want, Min Seo? I told you. I want you to suffer the way I suffered. 8 years in prison, Junho. 8 years of watching my wife leave me, my children stop visiting, my entire life fall apart. Because of you. Because of the crimes you committed. I just testified about them. You betrayed the family, chose an outsider over your own blood. Zara is my family now, she and my daughter, and if you threaten them again, I will make you disappear. Not because I want to, because I have to. Min Seo laughed. You don't have the connections anymore, the power. You're a civilian, remember? I don't need connections. I need one phone call. Junho pulled out his phone. To the prosecutors who would love to know about the witness intimidation you've been doing, the threats, the stalking. You're violating your parole, Min Seo. One call and you're back in prison for another 10 years. Min Seo's smile faded. But I don't want to do that, Junho continued. I want to offer you something better. What? Junho put an envelope on the table. Inside was a check and a plane ticket. Enough money to start over, somewhere far from here, and a contact who can help you build a legitimate business. No crime, no violence, just a second chance. Min Seo stared at the envelope like it might explode. Why? Because I understand what it's like to lose everything, to watch your whole life collapse because of choices you made. Junho's voice softened. You can keep hating me, keep planning revenge, and I'll destroy you. or you can take this and build something new, be better than what you were. You think money fixes what you did to me? No, but it's a start. And it's more than you'll get if you keep this up. Minseo picked up the envelope. His hands shook slightly. What if I take this and come back? What if I wait 5 years, 10 years, and then finish what I started? Jun-ho met his eyes. Then I'll be waiting. And next time, I won't be generous. He left Minseo sitting in that cheap hotel room, holding an envelope that represented mercy he probably didn't deserve. Jun-ho didn't know if it would work, didn't know if Minseo would take the money and disappear or take it and plot revenge anyway. But he'd offered a choice. The same choice Zara had offered him years ago. Be better, or be destroyed by your own bitterness. Jun-ho went back to his mother's house as dawn broke. Zara was awake, sitting in the kitchen with Ji-won asleep in her arms. She looked up when he entered, scanning him for injuries, for blood, for signs of the man he used to be. Is it over? She asked. I don't know. Maybe. Did you kill him? No. I gave him money and a way out. Zara closed her eyes. Relief flooded her face. Thank you. For what? For choosing us again. For not becoming what he wanted you to become. Jun-ho sat beside her, careful not to wake Ji-won. He looked at his daughter's sleeping face. So peaceful. So innocent. I'll always choose you, he said. Both of you. No matter what it costs. 3 days later, Jun-ho got a text from an unknown number. I took the money. Don't expect gratitude. But I'm going. It was the closest thing to an ending they get. Minseo left Korea. Jun-ho heard through old contacts that he'd moved to Singapore, started a small import business. Whether he'd stay clean or eventually fall back into old patterns, Jun-ho didn't know. But the threats stopped. The calls stopped. The fear that had gripped their household for those terrible days slowly loosened in its hold. 1 month later, Jun-ho stood in Ji-won's kindergarten, watching her perform in a school play. She was a flower, a very serious flower, who took her role extremely seriously, just like her father. Zara sat beside him, her hand in his, laughing at their daughter's intense concentration. Around them, other families did the same, normal families having normal moments. Jun-ho had spent years chasing power, building empires, living by rules that promised strength but delivered loneliness. Now he sat in a plastic chair too small for his frame, watching a 5-year-old forget her lines, and felt richer than he'd ever been when he controlled half of Seoul's underworld. After the play, they took Ji-won for ice cream. She got chocolate all over her flower costume and didn't care. Zara tried to clean her up and made it worse. Jun-ho laughed until his stomach hurt. That night, after Ji-won was asleep, Jun-ho and Zara sat on their small balcony, looking out at the city lights. Do you ever miss it? Zara asked. The power, the respect, all of it. Jun-ho thought about it honestly. Sometimes. But then I remember what it cost. Who I had to become. And I realize I don't miss that person at all. Who are you now? I'm still figuring that out. But I know I'm someone who loves you, who wants to be a good father, who wants to build things instead of breaking them. Zara leaned her head on his shoulder. That's enough. Is it? For me? Always. They sat in comfortable silence, two people who'd survived their own worst instincts and the cruelty of a world that didn't want them to be together. Jun-ho thought about his father, about the empire built on fear, about the grandson his father would never meet, who would grow up knowing a different version of the family name. He thought about Minseo, somewhere in Singapore, hopefully building something better. He thought about all the people he'd hurt over the years, Their lives were disrupted, the pain caused, and he promised himself again that Ji-won would never know that version of him. She would grow up with a father who paid taxes and helped small businesses and came home for dinner every night. A father who proved that people could change. That love was stronger than hate. That choosing peace over power wasn't weakness. It was the hardest, bravest thing a person could do. "What are you thinking?" Zara asked. Jun-ho kissed the top of her head. "That I'm the luckiest man alive. Even after everything? Because of everything. Because I found you. Because you saw something in me worth saving. Because our daughter will never know the weight of what I left behind." Zara turned to face him, her eyes bright in the city lights. "I love you. Even when you're dramatic. I love you too. Even when you're right about everything." They kissed, soft and sweet, like they had all the time in the world, like they weren't standing on the ruins of an empire, like they were just two people who'd found each other against impossible odds and refused to let go. Inside, Ji-won called out in her sleep, probably dreaming about her performance, about being a flower in a school play, about ordinary magic that was more powerful than any empire Jun-ho had ever controlled. He and Zara went to her together, checked on her, made sure she was safe and warm and loved. And Jun-ho realized this was his real power now. Not fear, not control, not the ability to make people disappear, but the capacity to love, to protect, to build instead of destroy. It wasn't the legacy his father had left him. It was better. Hello, viewers. This is where the story ends. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know how you feel about this story in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to this